I'm going live on YouTube.
Okay, we're recording now. We've got a couple more minutes before we start, but so don't say anything you don't want to see on YouTube.
Well, I went to the commissioners meeting today, and
Why is that such a delay, Penny? You don't use,
I don't think
We don't usually hear.
no.
yeah. I'm sorry, you were saying we got a minute before we open.
There was a lot of discussion about broadband, and they, one of the commissioners, who, you know, the neighbor, just very, feels very threatened actually by the aggressiveness that prospect is being pursued, and has said that if you're not going to support it, you should know. I was gonna write this up.
Actually, I've heard that before.
You have, okay, and she also announced she wasn't gonna run.
Lynn Canavan is joining me.
Okay, I think we're ready. We are, we're gonna call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock. I'm gonna, Walter is joining us by Zoom. We have a few other people joining us by Zoom. Jeff Parker, Amy Drinkwater, Canavan, sorry. So I'm gonna move a few things around in adjustments. I'm gonna jump down to department heads first because Amy needs to go teach a class and she has a new hire she would like to propose, who I think may have just joined us. Amy, do you want to introduce your proposed new hire?
Yes, Cameron Freeman, he's on here. He's going to be a driver. He's actually in the EMT class that I'm teaching. He has taken it in high school and he's retaking it now. So I'd like to hire him as a driver, and then hopefully by January he'll be an EMT.
Okay, is Cameron, do you want to say a couple of words, introduce yourself, or?
Hi, I'm Cameron Freeman. Like Amy said, I'm in her EMT class. I took it in the fall of 2019, 2020, but COVID prevented me from finishing that course. So during 2020 to 2021, I took Fire 1 and 2 and finished that. And now I'm in Amy's EMT class again. And I would really like to be a driver for South Thomaston and hopefully an EMT come January.
Okay, well, where do you live, Cameron?
I live in Lincolnville, and I'm also on the Lincolnville Fire Department as well as Camden Fire Department.
Okay, great. Jeff, Walter, any questions?
No.
So what's the attraction with, between you and South Thomaston?
Well, I'm on St. George for a driver with Amy as well. And I really just want to be on, as many departments as I can and help out the communities and learn as I drive.
Okay. Is there a motion? Are we all set? Is there a motion?
I move that we accept Cameron's nomination to be a driver currently and an EMT and hopefully in January.
Can I make a suggestion, John?
Yeah,
Sure.
I think the regulation is unclear. I mean, to me, I feel that I'm in an emergency situation, so it's legitimate for me to be on Zoom. But just to make sure, I would suggest that we try to avoid me having to vote, since we have a quorum and the two of you can pass anything.
Okay, I actually, I'm not sure I share your concern, Walter, and I would encourage you to vote, but if you're not comfortable doing that, that's fine with me.
I'm perfectly comfortable. I just didn't want to put us in a bad position. So I'll second the motion.
I'm a little from the tail end of the emotion. My impression is we're hiring him as a driver tonight. Do we even need to deal with the EMT piece? Is that fair, Amy?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
If he moves up, then that's great.
That's right. Okay, so, so you'll rephrase friendly amendment?
Yeah.
Strike that last line, and Walter, I assume you would support that?
I would.
Okay, further discussion? All those in favor? I think we have to roll call it since you're on Zoom. So Walter,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
John, aye. Okay. Amy, did you want to talk to us about Anthem billing? We got something in the last day or two here. It's not on the agenda, but did you want to walk us through that? I didn't know if you were looking for us to vote on this tonight, or you were just introducing it for tonight for consideration at our next meeting, or?
I guess it's up to you guys if you want to vote on it tonight. I wanted to get the information out to you because I just got it. It's for the balance billing. The new law that came out says, I think it's starting October 18th, we can, we'll get 200% of Medicare. And they looked at what we're billing, and we can up our rates. We haven't done it, and I think it's been 3 years since I came, and we did that last time. So I sent out all the information on what we can up. And that I did go in and do the paperwork for us to be contracted with Anthem so that we could get the 200% of Medicare.
So does this only apply to people who have Anthem insurance, I take it?
Yes.
Okay, so if I'm insured by New York Life, it has nothing to do with me.
Correct. This is just Anthems.
Okay. Other questions, Jeff?
Straightforward.
And we do have to enter into a contract with them, though,
We do.
which of course we haven't seen yet. So,
Nope, they're going to be sending it. That's why I just wanted to get that information out. And it may be that we wait until we get the contract, because you guys will have to sign the contract for us to be contracted with Anthem to be able to get the balance billing. So probably just getting the information right now and then voting on it when we get the contract.
well, I'd be ready to vote to support it in concept, if that would help you at all. But if,
It actually would, because then I could get it to the billing company and they can make the changes prior to the contract coming.
but then I think we would need to review the contract and vote on that separately.
Right.
There was something
Correct.
there that was-
Right. So this is just upping our fees, Medicare fees. The contract is something totally different.
Okay, but it only applies to the reimbursement for people that have Anthem as a companion plan, or,
That's what the contract is, but these fees would go across the board to all insurances. It would be, it's what Medicare. So the fee, if you look at the fee schedule that I gave you,
yeah,
the top one is what Medicare pays out. So our fees, they only pay a percentage of what we charge. That's why we write off a certain amount. So our fee schedule would have to be upped for us to get the amount that Anthem's gonna pay, if that makes sense.
okay, so our fee schedule then would be across the board to all
Yes.
private
Yes.
insurance. not just
Yes.
Anthem.
Right.
How are the other private insurances gonna react to that? You have a
It's,
sense?
it's, they're all, it's not gonna affect their payments. So they're gonna pay the same amount no matter what our fee schedule is. That fee schedule really pertains to what Medicare will pay.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so other questions, Jeff or Walter?
I have
Walter?
a question. So my first assumption is that when we say Anthem, we're talking about Anthem Medigap supplement.
Anthem Blue Cross.
Right. But it's
Yeah,
it's their supplement, their Medicare supplement plans?
not just supplement, it's across the board.
That's what I was
for
going to
Anthem.
ask. Do they do Medicare Advantage as well in Maine? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's across the board for Blue
Okay.
Cross. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, I'm good.
So this has no effect at all on Medicaid,
No,
Medicare.
Medicare. Well, it's Medicare, Medicaid. It's pretty much across the board. That's what they'll pay either way. There's only a percentage that Medicare and Medicaid will pay. So upping it is not going to change that effect. They're still only going to pay the percentage what they pay. If that makes sense.
Well, not exactly, but I think I get that.
So there's three.
It doesn't say anything about Medicaid. It says, it just talks about Medicare.
Because Medicaid just goes what Medicare says. So whatever Medicare says and they say this is what I'm going to pay, that's what Medicaid also goes with. So Medicare is pretty much what sets the bar on what all the other insurances pay.
But Medicaid is supplemented by state funds.
Correct.
So in effect, it's not all going to be covered by the Fed. Part of that is going to, if it's Medicaid, it's going to be covered by state, whatever.
Correct. Whatever their rate is.
Okay. Motion.
Yeah, I'll move to increase our rates where appropriate to meet the 200% of Medicare rates.
Perfect.
Second.
Further discussion. Actually, I do have a quick little question. So does that mean that where we're on the two categories where we're already over the 2 times, that gets adjusted down?
Nope, it just stays the same.
Okay. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Jeff, aye.
John, aye. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you. Sorry.
Sorry,
Insurances can be very complicating.
It's very,
Have a good class.
Thank you.
okay. I'd like to go back to adjustments to the agenda. I'd like to take up under correspondence. Can you hear me all right, Walter?
I can,
Okay.
perfectly fine.
Yeah, I'd like to take up under correspondence Er's email of October 4th that he responded to me about the notification, Herb Curtis, Chairman of the Planning Board, if I could for a moment, under correspondence, just add that. And also I'd like to add, I noticed that the building at 3 Westbrook Street is for sale. And I believe the owners of that building still owe the town some money that I think was supposed to be collected in the past, and I'd like to have a brief discussion about that. That's 3 Westbrook Street. Can add that under new business. Okay. Public comment for, is there any other adjustments? Terry? Walter?
All set.
Okay, Jeff, you're good?
I'm good.
Okay. Public comment for items not on the agenda. Is there anybody who would like, from the public, would like to comment for items that are not on the agenda? Okay, hearing none. We have the minutes from September 28th. I did carry a couple of very minor suggested edits this afternoon. I believe you got those. I don't know if you folks did, but. Is there a motion to approve them with those edits?
I move to approve them with the edits that are in your changes, the edits that you made.
Yeah, they were very minor. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Jeff, aye.
Oh, sorry, Walter,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
John, I haven't done that before, so. Let's, I think we can do A quickly, so why don't we move right to that? Update on the Upper St. George River water testing. Last I knew, Terry Brackett, our interim plumbing inspector, met with John Fancy from Thomas and Pollution Control and a few owners in the, is it West Winds or East Winds? West.
Forward.
Forward. I know it's winds. And had a brief chat with them, and also John Fancy's planning on attending the Conservation Commission meeting in November to talk about that situation. So I think we've kind of, hopefully we've got it on its way to do some, they can sort out some remedial work. Any other thoughts or comments from Jeff or Walter?
Nope. Glad to see them engaged.
Okay. All right. Update paint repairs to the Little Red Schoolhouse. I thought we were gonna have some folks tonight here. So, oh, are you, Catherine, are you representing that group tonight? Or- I thought Carol Dumont was coming, but I don't know why I thought that, but. So, well, I guess to get everybody on the same page, Lowe's has approved buying, providing us with shingles and stain. But not labor. So if we want to go that route, we're going to have to, I guess, vote to accept that donation and try to find labor, which of course was the problem to begin with. One of the problems. But it seems to me that if we're going to go the route of re-shingling it, getting the donation of the shingles and the stain makes this very financially feasible. That's just my opinion. And so I guess I'm sort of prepared to head that way. Catherine, you want to add something?
Yes, here is also in process, request for money from the Moose Foundation, at the recommendation of the local government. So we may even get the money.
Yeah.
And we are going to pursue a couple of routes for labor.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
We may pursue a couple of routes for labor, including volunteer labor to dip the shingles at them already. And then see if we can find one person that will pay if they are wage to labor professional.
So, yeah, and that's a, depending on where, well, even under your proposed lease, that would be the town's responsibility. It's outside, if I read that right. So that person would actually have to contract with the town. We would have to get the insurances and so on and so forth. But
In the more projection, if we line up.
no, but I wish you luck, because we've been trying to do that. You know, but I got it, they have to be insured. That's the big thing. A lot of people will say, well, I'll do it. And then you say, well, can I have your liability insurance certificate? Yeah. So, Walter, Jeff, comments, questions?
No, I'd make a motion that we accept whatever donations Lowe's is willing to provide us in the way of materials or labor as comes.
Second.
Okay, further discussion? Anything else? I would just like to add, and I don't think it has to be part of the motion, but I'd like to see that this board, Historical Society group can do what they want, but I'd like to see this board send a letter of thank you to Lowe's. So with that, Walter,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
John, aye. Anybody have any ideas on where we can dip shingles? Think about it.
And stairs go for.
I don't think we can do that. Okay, but speaking of Guilford Butler, upgrade regarding temporary relocation to Guilford Butler. I guess we have a couple things going on. I know Penny and a bunch of volunteers have been working like crazy to get the building ready and have come up with some donations and stuff. And you're pursuing a permit angle. Let's start with that. Any news on the permit?
No, I'm still waiting for the feedback from John, State Department.
Okay, and you're,
But I'm expecting that anytime. I have expected. So I would be surprised if I don't have.
and you're still pursuing
Correct.
with the CEO.
CEO.
And Penny, why don't you give us an update on what the fantastic work that's been going on down there?
Well, the painting of the 3 rooms that we would like to put the children, the adults, and the community room are just about painted, and the masons have offered to put in 2 floors and have also found a ADA accessible ramp. to the floor. One of the possibly would be the entrance toward the playground. That would be the easiest one to use that.
And does it fit dimension wise? I mean, does it get us within the, 1 foot, 1 inch? It's long enough for that?
That's what I've been told. I just found out today, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's great. And my understanding is you found some flooring that's very thin that'll go over the carpet, that's over the asbestos tiles, so that gets us away from any issues there.
But I'm, waterproof.
Yeah. Yeah.
That we would do ourselves.
And I would suggest anybody who hasn't stopped in there in the last few days, do it. It's been very impressive what's going on.
That's very nice.
Very nice. So hopefully we'll keep that moving. Anything else we need to talk about on that? Walter, questions, thoughts?
No, I'm glad for the invite because I've driven by there a couple of times and seen all those people and said, if I walk in there, I'll just be disruptive. So now I'll go in and take a look.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Update on the lease for the Little Red Schoolhouse. Amended lease, I guess I should say. Jeff, do you want to walk us through this? Would that be the easiest thing to do, or
Probably, I think that,
would you like to take questions as you walk it through, or go back and?
I can take questions as we walk through.
Okay.
We are thinking that we can probably amend this officially on the 26th of October. I think the Historical Society is going to meet this Thursday, have the membership, give the membership an opportunity to vote on the changes to it.
Yeah,
Yes.
shouldn't the execution be after the library has left the building?
Well, that was my question.
We can probably vote on it ahead of time and then make the execution date the date you're ready to move out.
But
Yeah.
I think it should be moved.
Yeah.
Out.
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Yeah, I had the same question. And I also think personally that we should check with MMA to make sure we don't need town meeting approval for this. I suspect that we do. I know you don't feel that way, but I think it's worth checking.
No, and I've got a couple reasons why I don't. Number one, we didn't do it originally.
Oh, no, we had a lawyer draw this up.
I know,
We
we
went to
did not.
town meeting.
No, we didn't. We did it here. The three of us.
That's not my recollection.
And we did not do it for the Lions Club. Did not do a town meeting with the Lions. The other part of it is that when you start talking about real estate leases, some of that's one of the exceptions for executive sessions for good reasons. So I think it would be bad precedent. I'm willing to back off on it, especially if we did in fact get this original one done at a town meeting. But I'm 99% sure we did not.
My recollection is 100% opposite of that. Penny, you were around then. I mean, I almost remember standing up at town meeting objecting to the 99 years.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Well, we can check that.
I think the original release was put before,
Well, that's what we're talking about.
but that would be the one that the historical society shared the building with the
Oh,
library.
no, I'm talking about, when you say original, then let's get on the same page. I'm talking about the one that stayed in 2006.
That the three of us signed.
I can't remember that, but I remember.
Well, it's easy enough to check. It's in here. We even got the year. So. Might even be able to find it tonight. Bill could grab a 2006 town report, or is he gone? He's gone.
And it was executed in September. It would almost have been a special.
Yeah, it may have been. It may have been. Okay, well, we can check that. So go ahead, sorry.
All right, so in essence, what we ended up doing with it is basically adding the Little Red Schoolhouse as part of the leased property. And then we treated the Little Red Schoolhouse like you would treat a house. So anything that the tenants would take care of, normal wear and tear, utilities, inside the building kind of things, they would take care of. Exterior and big ticket items would belong to the landlord. And since before the town occupied the Little Red Schoolhouse and the kitchen area, and then we shared that with the Historical Society, we basically changed it so that the Historical Society now is utilizing all the space, and but we don't give up, the town doesn't give up any of our rights to use it, but we just have to coordinate.
So can I ask a question? So Schedule A looks the same.
Yes, it should not change it.
So the dotted area, which is the original schoolhouse and the kitchen, and I think the bathroom and the doghouse still remains, if you will, the town's building.
Right.
And the Historical Society building and the corridor to the town still remains the town's. But how does that impact, or does it impact insurance? Because we used to have it separately insured, if you will, because of different, I don't want to say ownership, but,
Right.
but yes, it was different.
And well, and we will still have to, because we still own it, we're still going to end up with some amount of liability insurance associated with it. So we'll end up having to take this lease to MMA and asking them what the impact is on our insurance.
But the fire and casualty, if, say, worst case, both places burn,
Right.
the value of the Historical Society's building payout would go to them.
Right.
And the value here would go to us. That's the intent of this.
Correct. That's correct. Yeah, because basically we still own
So when you say the building.
the Little Red Schoolhouse.
And the kitchen, the bathroom, and the dog. Okay.
So item 2, we added a clause on it. There was some discussion about, because in this, when the lease terminates, the town owns the building. And
Which building?
they're the Historical Society, correct. And so what I said was our intention, so they wanted to change that so that when the lease terminates, the fair market value of the building is paid for by the town to the Historical Society. I convinced them that our intent is not to kick them out of the building. Our intent is for them to stay forever and ever and ever. And that by the time the lease ends, it's because the Historical Society no longer exists. Therefore, you wouldn't want to have a clause in there that says you pay nobody, a non-existing entity, for the fair market value. And so to hammer that home, item 2, we added that the agreement will automatically extend in 20-year increments unless either party objects 6 months prior to each extension. So that just hammers home that our intent is for the Historical Society to be in there for as long as they are historical.
Can you remind me when this lease terminates?
Right now, it terminates in 2101, May 21.
I guess well, as you know, I was never in favor of covering the town property for 99 years or whatever we did back in 2006. I get why you did this, but I worry about the fog of time.
Right.
And that in that year you just quoted, I think at a minimum, maybe we're going to need to record this at the Registry of Deeds.
Well, I think
And I'm not
it should
sure
be.
I'm not sure the original one was.
it should have been.
Um,
It should have been.
I mean, we struggle sometimes finding stuff from 10 years ago. So I guess if I wouldn't be in favor of that, but I'm not gonna stand in the way of it. Provided we record it at the registry of deeds.
Yeah, I think it
And-
should have been the first time.
And it may have been, but my
And I-
proviso remains.
Yeah, I agree.
Walter, any comments?
Not so far. Actually, one. So, did I get this right? That first of all, our objective is not to give away a town asset without a more rigorous and robust discussion about that, and not give away, but sell in this case. It sounds like, I thought what I heard was that that what the Historical Society has in mind is to own the building after the lease expires.
No,
No.
just the opposite.
Okay, then I misheard.
Yeah.
And where are you I'm looking at the long change that you made, Jeff. But where are you in presenting? I'm sorry that I'm remote.
Okay, now I'm moving on to number 4, utility expenses.
Okay, that's where I am. All right, thanks.
And basically it does away with deciding who pays for what. It just says that the Historical Society as the tenant will pay for electricity and heating. So utility expenses, all of utility expenses are paid for by the tenant.
Just a question on that. You say all utility, but it doesn't say all utility. It says all heating and electricity. Should we, I'm not trying to be picky here, but 99 years is a long time. Should we say all other utilities? I mean, we have internet now that some people consider a utility. Who knows, we'll have 50 years, right? That would be a suggestion. I would.
I think that's reasonable. Catherine?
I have a question regarding actually the accounts of the utilities. Are they grouped with the town accounts right now, or, I mean, is there a way of, is there a counter, or is it every,
Yeah, I'm sure we
Does it have its own electricity bill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could so the Historical Society could go to CFP and say, we'd like to be a portion of this.
They could actually tell them.
Yeah, I was separate account.
And the propane probably will have to set up a separate account. I mean, I think they track it by location, but it's one bill.
It
Isn't it?
has its
Does it have a separate bill?
Okay,
Okay,
yeah.
perfect. Then we can transfer that over.
try to do too fast, and they should be building up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just changed it to all utilities, including heating and electricity costs shall be paid by the tenant.
That's paid by the town.
The tenant.
Oh,
Let's see, next page, under E, landlord should keep the exterior, strike and interior of landlord's portion of the building reasonably clean. Landlord should be responsible for routine maintenance and cleaning of the exterior of the landlord's portion of the building, including but not limited to roof, siding repair, exterior painting, heating, electrical, air conditioning, plumbing systems, upkeep, and then strike carpet cleaning, window cleaning, and the removal of solid waste that landlord generates. And that's if we use the building, we'd have to remove our own trash.
What about mowing, or is that addressed elsewhere?
It is not, but I would, whatever we're doing now, I think we continue to do.
Well, the town pays to mow it all.
Right.
It's like, I guess one of the concerns I have is, correct me if I'm wrong here, Penny, but those bushes that have way gone overground, when they were put in, the Historical Society put them in, they came here and they said they would maintain them. And they haven't. So I'm worried two things. I'm worried if we ask this, I mean, I guess I guess the grounds are, I don't want to put the town in a position where we can't go in there and do something to make the grounds look good if they don't. But on the other hand, I don't necessarily feel that if they plant bushes, that we should then have to trim them. That's just an example.
Yeah, and I think that's a normal communication between landlord and tenant.
Yeah, personally, I was not aware that it was the responsibility of the historical society to maintain the landscaping. So, and I would like to think that we need to information to get done and
Well,
instead of going through the town and, you know.
yeah, I wouldn't expect you to be aware of that, but I would expect the historical society.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So, but the mowing definitely.
Yeah, again, I guess I feel like if they're gonna take the whole premises, the mowing should be there, but again, I won't stand in the way of it. You've negotiated in good faith with them, so. Walter, anything?
Nope.
So then down on HI was added. The tenant shall act as steward for the town property and report on a semi-annual basis the interior and exterior conditions of the Little Red Schoolhouse and the kitchen. The tenant shall maintain the interior cleaning of the town property, always keep it in good condition. So that's an opportunity, because that doesn't currently exist, that process doesn't exist. And that's an opportunity for historical society to come in and say, here's what we need. And we say, hey, what about those bushes? And they say, okay, we'll take care of it.
Oh, can I jump back up? If, in E, last sentence, I'm not sure what that means. It says landlord shall also be responsible for keeping the entryway and door reasonably clean and in good condition at all times. Do we mean the entryway outside or the entryway inside? Or, and I'm not sure what is meant by the door.
It's the door to the library. It's the outside door. Yeah, the one right in the front.
I guess it seems that should be a little clearer. Me. I'll leave it at that.
The library do take part in the main entrance to the library, the front door. The for a new exterior door, that's winter. The kitchen door with the ramp was built and maintained by the historical. So the library also has paid to have improvements made there. I put it, not the town.
Well, that brings up another question. Who is responsible for the ramp? Maintain it.
Well, it's on the exterior of the building. I put that in the landlord's. But we can be more specific on that too. The Dublin Road entryway into the Little Red Schoolhouse. Words to that effect.
Well, either that or just strike it in because it's part of the exterior. It's a privilege.
Yeah.
I mean.
Just looking to see if there's a like. Tenant shall also be responsible for keeping the entryway and door reasonably clean condition at all times. So there's a duplicate one for the tenant. So it's basically saying, don't screw it up. Either one of you, whoever you are, don't screw it up. So under alterations, number 7, landlord retains control of the property outside of the tenant's leased areas, except the tenant shall have access to such areas as described in the previous paragraph. And then number two,
Jeff, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
John.
Go ahead.
So maybe this is appropriate at this point. So over a year ago, the Historical Society approached the select board at the time. And what they asked for was for the select board to transfer to, because the 10 years lockup basically of the Hopkins bequest had lapsed. And the Historical Society asked that we give them the $50,000. And town council said that that could not happen. That in order for that to happen, the Historical Society would have to go to probate court and have the select board members removed as trustees. Kristen said that the reason that was articulated to us at the time was that the Historical Society folks felt they could get a better return on the investment than we were getting, which probably was true. But Kristen said that she felt it was unlikely that any probate judge would rule in favor of the Historical Society. So the agreement that we made was, at least I said, I couldn't foresee a circumstance where the Historical Society would come to the select board with a legitimate request for use of those funds that met the terms and conditions of the will. So that's where I just want you guys to know that that's where that stands, because it's not clear to me how well documented that agreement was. And if there's somebody from Historical Society management in the room, maybe they can make sure that they and I are on the same page.
I'll speak for Catherine if she doesn't mind, but they are aware of that. And matter of fact, it was discussed at the last meeting that we had, that they understand that they have to go to mom and dad and ask permission to use it
Okay.
to get their allowance.
Say please and thank you.
And then say please. So next one is paragraph 12, which was originally restricted access. And basically it just said that the Historical Society shouldn't go in any places that belong to the town without good reason to. But it was actually more restrictive than it needed to be, because they still end up occasionally having to access those areas. So we changed it to landlord access. So what it does is it does two things. Is it says the tenant, the Historical Society, has to permit the town to go in there for whatever reasons the town needs to go in there. And we can still use portions of it with coordination and permission from the tenant, just like a normal landlord-tenant relationship. But it also adds the sentence about the landlord may temporarily relocate the library into the Little Red Schoolhouse. And if the library relocates into the Little Red Schoolhouse, this lease shall automatically revert to the original 2006 for the duration of the temporary occupation. So all of these cuttings of the babies that we did for it happen again until the library vacates, and then it reverts. This one continues. So it makes that automatic as opposed to having to renegotiate it.
Clever. Well done. I've
yeah.
seen that.
I thought it was well done too. My only comment is there should be there a little bit of notice. I don't want to negotiate on behalf of the Historical Society, but should it say something upon 30 days notice or something? I don't know. It just seemed to me it's probably not even worth it, but yeah.
I'd like to also, there should be mentioned that building is a temporary warming shelter for the EMA, and they hope to continue.
Yeah.
The generator was in the kitchen.
Right.
Because the battery can't take being outside, and that was around here. So
I think you're right. I think that's something that the Historical Society and EMA. and-
I have mentioned this to
Yeah, you have. And Betty's mentioned it too. Go ahead, Jeff.
What would you think to transfer the shelter to the building property?
I can't, the generator for the building required. And that's where it has to be.
You didn't take a look on the Jonathan Butler and it's a state generator?
The generator can't be in the building property.
Yeah, I think it wouldn't be as simple as just moving that generator up there. I mean, I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but Betty had some concerns about Bill Butler too. I guess, Jeff, I would urge you to talk to Betty. Yeah. Because I think that's a potential. I think it can be worked out. I just think it's something we need to.
Well,
We
it's
kinda-
not fixing the whole building, just the removal too. I mean, what's the discrepancy, you know, how many people can be able to stay at the historical society?
It's only for a temporary warming shelter, and this was put in place by Tom Road, and we did discuss this, that this would continue.
Yeah, I think at a minimum, you got to talk to Betty about it.
And then sort of-
Well, yeah, obviously it was so. Because I don't have the answers right here tonight, but.
And this is the paragraph where that, just end up adding another paragraph to this item. For landlord access.
I would say it since its inception, it hasn't come to pass because the library rarely uses out,
But it's not,
but
it's
no.
not really to serve,
No.
it's to serve people who've lost power elsewhere.
And there have been people who have just come in and used
Yeah.
the kitchen to do their work.
Right. And it's not,
But the internet isn't saying something about that.
and it's not an overnight show, just a
No.
temporary warning. So
So
it's probably something that,
people can charge their phones.
I think you're right. I think the kitchen is probably being used more than anything. And maybe that still could continue.
I would hope so.
And then the only other changes are happy, no, they're changing who signed.
And plowing, is that what that's
What is?
plowing and snow removal?
It's not addressed because it's pretty much what we've got right now.
Well, right now, the library does the snow removal beyond the light through the driveway. But the town does.
Right.
So,
But it isn't just plowing. I mean, I remember going down there myself when I was an acting town administrator and shoveling out the gas tank because they couldn't get to the gas tank, one of the big storms, so. Yeah. And we don't have anybody to do that. Unless Gary's going
There you
down.
go.
So,
nice and not very responsible.
so I think snow, my personal feeling is mechanical snow removal, plowing can be the town's responsibility, but I think shoveling and stuff is gonna have to personally move over to the.
And I don't think that's really gonna be other, because they're not in there every day.
Right.
So they have meetings and probably on those days when the snow is really bad, they're gonna cancel. But the access to the propane, that would be an issue. And,
Well, you need access to the generator too, if you're gonna keep it as a warming shelter. So I mean, I think it needs a little bit of thought.
Well, you know, the access to the generator, I guess, is the responsibility of the town, that's the function of when you shop.
So maybe that back door of the town would have to, but then if you got two people, two different parties responsible for it, it gets complicated. Again, I don't think we're gonna solve it tonight here, but I think it needs some discussion. So do we wanna put this on our next meeting agenda?
Yes. Yes, because we need to confirm that whether it's our vote or town vote.
You're gonna talk to Betty,
I'm gonna talk to Betty.
and there's a few things you need to clean up.
Yep.
Okay. Walter, any further comments?
Nope, I'm all set. So we'll see what
Okay.
happens at the next meeting.
Yeah, Catherine, anything else? You're in? Okay, thank you. And the Schedule A, the plan is to just keep that intact, right? Yes. Yeah. Terry did fine today.
On the phone.
All right. Jeff, I'm sorry, I didn't think that was gonna take quite as long as it did. Why don't we jump to you? You there?
Yep, I'm here.
I guess we're thinking we'd like to, and correct me if I'm wrong, Walter, Jeff, but Terry has talked to them down in St. George, confirmed that they're pretty happy. I guess we'd like to pursue that route first.
Well, as I said in the last meeting, I think it makes sense. Your biggest jeopardy is if you don't like it, you find somebody who holds meetings regularly and give them $300 off of it. So as usual, nothing is quite as simple as just the one thing. And I apologize. I started working on this shamefully close to the beginning of this meeting, so I don't have numbers to put in front of you. Although I can certainly have them to you tomorrow morning. It makes sense. The owl itself is $1,000. It's time for a new TV up on the wall there. We'd put a 70-inch up there for $750. That needs a mount that costs almost as much as the darn TV. And then installation with 2 people because I can't lift that sucker up. Cables and a tripod for the middle of the room. And if we were to put this in, I think the highest degree of success would be if you took your open U tables and you brought 2 more tables in, or even just 1 more table in, and made it a box, so that Penny could be sitting closer to you. See, for right now, and Walter may appreciate this being at home, with you guys in the room, pretty much everybody can hear each other. But Penny's a little too far from the existing microphone and the other folks that spoke from the other side of that beam. And while the owl has some sophisticated microphone aiming devices that will help it, it's not going to break the laws of physics. So for a really comprehensive test, you might want to consider your next meeting having the tripod in the middle with the owl on it, and then another table brought in so people could be closer to the microphone.
Is there a way to set up a second? Is there a way to set up a second microphone that doesn't move, that could pick up the audience on the other side of that big beam?
Well, that's a great question, because in the analog microphone world, the answer is, of course, you add as many microphones as you want, which is the original design. But because you're getting into computer world, these things have USB connectors rather than audio connectors. So you can take 2 owl professionals, and link them together, which would expand the visual stuff, which you're not quite as worried about, but it would also expand the audio aspect of it, and it would read to the computer. It would read as one USB device. So my suggestion for that would be to let's start with one, borrow another one if we need to see how that works. Because I do appreciate the comment. I asked the question basically last meeting, and you said, hey, we like to have it as informal as possible, and if the people are going to stay 18 feet away from us, well, golly, we'll accommodate them. So the answer is a qualified yes. It wouldn't be another microphone because there's no other microphone input, but it would be a whole nother owl unit.
Okay. All right, that answers my question. Start out small and build incrementally.
Yeah, and I'm trying to protect you that if it doesn't work, then you'll get most of your money back. There's not much here that we would throw away. So we're not in that much jeopardy if you say, yeah, you're right, we need to go to the one person, one microphone motif.
I guess Walter, Jeff, my personal feeling here is I'm ready to move on this, and I kind of agree with Jeff that nothing's ever as simple as you think it is. So I'd like personally just to entertain a motion to authorize a certain amount, up to a certain amount of money, and authorize Jeff and Terry to work this out based on the concept that we've just discussed here. Walter being a techie, if he wants to jump in with Jeff, that's fine. But I just feel like we've had this thing on the agenda now 6 times, and I'm ready personally to just follow that route, and I'm sure we could maybe get a couple of the per diem folks to help lift the TV up if Jeff was here to supervise. And does that make sense to you, Terry? I mean, you got enough to do without spending hours out here trying to figure out which cable plugs into which, and so that's just my thought. But Walter, Jeff?
I agree. I mean, yes, I agree with where you're going with this.
So the number I have on the bottom of my sheet for a do not exceed is 3,200. And that includes all the those things that we talked about.
So I would make the motion that we authorize Terry and Jeff to get us a solution, preferably with the owl, and I'd make it 3,500, just in case we need wires and maybe another speaker or something on the other side of that bulkhead.
Well, Jeff, does that include some time for you?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Second.
Second, further discussion? Any comments? Terry, you're the one's got to kind of live with this.
Gotta be better than this.
Okay. All right.
Can I ask Jeff a question?
Sure.
So there are any number of streamed meetings going on up and down Midcoast these days. Who's using an owl that does the school board use one? These people that archive so you can go to YouTube and just see how it works.
Yeah, well, that last point is a good question. That's on my list. I forgot to tell you about. But St. George is the only one I know using an owl. As I said at the previous meeting, 2 of my clients bought them and then just didn't like them. But the RSU 13 school board, of which you are all a part of, has a very, very sophisticated room that is incredibly capable, but doesn't use any owls. Most of the Camden, Rockport, Lincolnville, each have variations on my approach to things for theirs. Maybe because they got old-fashioned guys like me advising them, or maybe because it's the audio. I mean, the very first thing that came to me was for audio, and the very best way of dealing with audio is to give everyone their own microphone. It's physics. So we'll be looking out for the owl to use its super high-tech technology to solve the audio problem, which was the very first problem that we had. But no, aside from St. George, nobody in this neck of the woods is using the owl that I'm aware of. Okay. It could be, it's probably something like Island Institute, maybe, somebody who has a lot of board meetings. The museums may use it, but I'm not aware of it.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, and the other thing is, and I'll have this discussion with Terry, and it could be a different motion, but I have a different viewpoint on where what the archive depository should be, and I think that Vimeo is a better company than YouTube to do that, because YouTube is like wading through a hurricane to pick up a hamburger at the the flooded place, and on Vimeo, you would have just your own resting place. It would be vimeo.com/South Thomaston, Maine. Bam, everything's there. No ads, no
I have
nothing.
encountered what you just described.
Yeah. But that, just so we understand, that's outside of this, could be introduced
Mhm.
anytime, and I'll give Terry those details.
Okay, further discussion. I did want to point out that you didn't include it in the motion, but the intent is for this to come out of our American Rescue Plan.
Correct.
And if, would you agree to a friendly motion amendment to that, Walter? You agree to that friendly second?
I do.
Okay. Walter,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
John, aye. Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Terry. I'll give you a call tomorrow.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, let's jump back up to appointments to the Library Community Center Facilities Planning Committee. My understanding is, Terry, we have no additional applicants after an attempt to recruit.
No.
Jeff, you were gonna talk to Irv.
I did, and he has not retired, probably will retire within 18 months. It's his goal right now. But he is cutting back, and he would understand if we wanted to have him concentrate on the planning board as opposed to splitting his time between. And
I think I would support that. I mean, I think the planning board's got enough going on. And I know being on the Gilbert Butler Committee when he was in and out, it was hard.
And to be frank, I mean, we've got 4 people, right, in that side of our.
I think 3. Thought we were 3-2.
We have one big and Martha, if you accept Martha.
Okay, so we had 3, we've appointed 3. Right. Okay. So Marcia, I'm gonna turn to you. The question we had last week as a board, because you didn't really indicate it in your bio to us. This committee is, the purpose of this committee, based on the town meeting vote, is to plan for a new building. And we want to make sure that you're committed to that mission. We had, as opposed to renovating an existing building, we had someone who applied for the committee and they said, but I don't want to do that. I want to renovate the existing building. So we didn't appoint him. So we asked Terry to ask you if you're committed to that mission. Well, and at this point, the town has voted for a new building. Now, there's controversy over that. It was a relatively close vote, and some people don't support that. They strongly support the renovation. So I just want to make sure that you're that you were on board with that. So Walter, questions, or Jeff? Of Marcia? You there, Walter?
I am.
Any questions? I don't know. Could you hear what she said?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, question? Okay. Before we vote, I'd like to revisit this idea of the bifurcation. I think it's a great idea, but we don't have enough people. I'm thinking at this point, maybe we should scale this back to 7. If we agreed to appoint Marcia, I think we have, right? Or it would be 6. We still try to recruit one more person. Perhaps they're down the road. I don't know. I talked to Sandy Wiseman. She sent me along a call that she'd be very much interested in co-chairing this, with someone, and I felt like that wasn't going to work if we had this bifurcated committee with 2 committees, but that it could work if we had one committee. So I guess I'm rethinking that whole premise. And maybe down the road we could split again. We chose that, unless somebody, I don't know. I don't see a great deal of, we didn't get 22 applicants for these 9. And I'm not sure I want to spend, the next month trying to recruit people and talk them into serving on a committee. If their heart's not in it. And I certainly think there's been enough publicity around it. So I would, hang on one second. I would like to hear your thoughts on that, and then I'll get to you, Kath.
Yeah, I think it was a good idea.
I do
But
too.
but if we don't have the fundraiser people to fill out that subcommittee, then I think it's more important that we go ahead and charge the committee and get them moving. And establish the co-chairs. I think I recall somebody saying they'd be willing to co-chair it.
Yeah.
Along with Sandy. So, yeah, I'm more than.
Walter?
Yeah, I think the bifurcation was a really good idea when we were looking at like 9 people. This situation has kind of made that a non-starter.
Okay. Catherine, you got a comment?
Yes, I would like to, if you could remind us of who is on the committee so far.
I'm gonna ask Terry to do that. And you want to know which subcommittee they were appointed to? Okay, because that may be going away, the subcommittee.
And Just was on the design committee. And Just. Sandy Watson was fundraising. Lauren Spencer was fundraising. Gabe is design and Maura Paddock is design. And you added Marshall tonight?
No, we haven't voted on it yet.
You got it. And Marshall's.
I'm not saying we're not gonna, we just haven't done it. So we'd end up with 6. If we drop the slot to 7, we'd still have 1 vacancy. And we had, but more importantly, we don't have anybody who stepped up as chair. And after talking with Sandy and reading her email and thinking about how her and Gabe could work together, I kind of, the idea is attractive to me.
I agree with that.
So is there a motion to change this to 7 members and do away with the bifurcation and to undesignate people's appointed to the subcommittees?
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Did you get them?
I'll help you. We gotta deal with, we're gonna deal with this, then we'll go back to Marcia, then we'll probably do it one person. But do you have a comment?
It makes sense to me. We should get together as a group and we should decide what has the strength, fundraising, design. It should be the committee's decision. Display where it's on its strengths.
Yeah.
As opposed to breaking it out.
Well, that's why we ask people to indicate which they wanted to be on, but it's,
Right, but I think.
but it's not gonna work, right?
I think we should all work together.
And that was basically Sandy's point, and I think she's right, and I think that will shake itself out at the committee level. So anyway, is there further discussion on that motion? Walter?
Aye.
Yeah?
Aye.
John, aye. Just so, would you rewrite that mission statement then that you drafted? Okay, now I want to deal with Marcia's appointment. Is there a motion to appoint Marcia to the committee? Marcia Turner, correct?
I move we appoint Marcia Turner to the committee.
Second.
Didn't hear you, Walter, sorry.
Second.
Okay, further discussion? All those in favor? Walter?
Aye.
Aye.
Yep, aye, John, aye. Is there a motion to appoint Gabe and Sandy Wiseman as co-chairs?
So move.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor? Walter?
Aye.
Yeah,
Aye.
John, aye. Okay, so just gonna rewrite the mission statement. I'll let people know what we did in an email probably tomorrow, the next day. So it sounds like we don't need to make a motion on her we didn't on Paul. So that's all set. But we do need still to recruit one other person. So Harry, if you could work on that, maybe put a sign up. And they don't need to be on either committee, so. Website, whatever. So Maureen, you have another comment?
Well, you just appointed 2 co-chairs.
Yep.
So that means you're regular chair.
Right. So. That take care of everything? Okay.
Can I add? I think the 6 should go ahead and set up some meetings, even if we don't
I
have
agree.
a 7th person.
And you need to post a word with Terry. This has been controversial, so I think you need to be very, I don't mean to sound lecturing, but I think you need to be very much a stickler working with Terry to make sure they're posted in time in the right places. Because if not, you might get jumped on. I mean, a lot of times it's not that critical, but in this case, I think it is. Okay. We got is there anybody here for anything particularly else? And I assume you want to hear the next item, so the next item, internet
I don't
development.
have any updates on that.
No, I know, but I mean, you're not here for something else.
No.
Okay. I just like to accommodate people to hear from one. Okay, let's do an update on the Midcoast Internet Development Corporation and Axiom study. Actually, I am going to ask you to repeat what you heard today at the county commissioners meeting, if you will, because I'm not sure Walter heard that.
Actually, I sent Walter an email.
Well, then for the public.
Okay, so I went to the county commissioners meeting today, and they were prioritizing requests for federal funds. And they got like 30 requests from various towns, and they basically threw out everything that applied only to specific towns. It kind of made sense in that context. But there were also a thing on the agenda about Spectrum came to give a report about how they were going to do it. So there were a lot of people who included there for broadband. And 2 things happened that I thought were quite startling. First of all, they announced that they weren't going to have any discussion of the broadband thing. They just said no, flat, 0. They heard enough. They never wanted to hear it again. And then one of the commissioners said that she had felt, and I quote, I wrote down, bullied and harassed, and that she would never vote for funds for this mid-coast coalition, no matter what, because she felt really quite threatened. Made everybody a little excited. And so that kind of leaves us wondering what to do next. I guess.
Well, yeah, I can't, obviously, we can't speak for the internet, because Internet Development Corporation, I guess they're gonna have to seek funding elsewhere if they can't get it from the county. I personally thought it was a little presumptuous right from the beginning that they thought they were gonna get $7 million, but
Well,
that's another,
yeah,
that's another.
that was discussed,
Right.
and then it was dropped by an order of 10.
Sure, I
And
get
I
it,
still thought that was a little short.
yeah, but anyway, I guess there's really nothing we can do about that, but thank you for that update. And I believe, and Walter, I'm going to defer to you on this. It sounds like we're ready to move ahead with the Axiom study.
Yeah, I was hoping that we would vote to approve that contract and have you sign it, or all of us sign it. I'll come by tomorrow and send it off to him and get going.
Are you ready to move ahead with that? Okay, so what we're talking about here is using $5,000 of our American Rescue Plan funds to participate in the study that's already underway between Camden and Rockport and Rockland. Well, I'm not sure about Rockland, but Tom,
I didn't confirm, but their city council was supposed to vote and vote on Tom Luttrell's recommendation to join 3 weeks ago, and I didn't cross-check to see if they had actually done that. So let me just cross-check here also. Lynn and Ann, I did send you the Axiom contract as the statement of work. Did I do that? I
Yeah.
thought I did.
Yes,
Okay, good.
so.
thank you.
So if I understand this, I want to make sure I understand this correctly, and also just for the public. We are actually individually as a town contracting with Axiom, and I assume the other towns are as well, or are the towns that have actually joined the Mid-Coast Internet Development Corporation, are they doing it collectively? Do you know by chance?
I don't,
Okay,
but there's a meeting tomorrow and I can ask.
well, I don't know that that's critical. Was everybody happy with the scope of work? Everybody being Ann, Lynn, Jeff, and
It made sense to me, but, no,
Yeah.
I know far less than RSD and colors.
Walter, were you?
Yeah, I think, so for instance, Terry sent me the coverage map from Charter Communications, which basically shows us what Spectrum does in South Thomaston. So I'll give that to Mark Ouellette, and that's one of the items that's in the statement of work, is to ascertain our service level and our unserved service level. What that's going to do, by the way, is immediately make us ineligible for grants from the state or anybody else that have the presupposition that you're not served at all. So we will be considered served, even though we have large segments of people that don't have access, because almost every one of our roads has cable on it.
Okay. So I had one comment and one question. My question is, and I know you sent me an email, are they anticipating that we're gonna send them the entire $5,000 up front ahead of time?
He didn't give me a straight answer. I sent you his email this afternoon. I apologize for not doing it last week before I went away. He's fine. If he gets a signed contract, of course, we're obligated. I thought that was unusual because in my experience, if you do a consulting engagement and you don't have progress payments specified in it, the consultant usually wants the flat fee up front.
Okay.
So, but he seemed to be, go read the email that he sent me. I don't have it in front of me right now, and see what you think.
Yeah. My experience with the town is we rarely pay up front. I understand why contractors want to get upfront payment from private individuals, but we've been here 250 years or whatever it is. I guess not that much, but so I don't know, that concerns me a little bit, and my comment.
He did send us an invoice, and there are no terms on the invoice.
I noticed that. Doesn't and I guess my comment was, I was a little concerned about bidding requirements under the ARP. And believe it or not, I spent an hour digging through Treasury rules. Finally found what I was looking for. We are able to sole source certain projects. And I think this meets that criteria because it kind of makes sense that if this is being done collectively and the other 3 towns have already signed on to it, it makes sense to sole source this to them because it's going to be piggyback, for lack of a better word. That's after I read 4 pages of legalese on that. So I am now satisfied myself with that. I was concerned about that. So is there a motion?
I move that we execute the contract with Axiom for the feasibility study for regarding fiber optic broadband internet.
And authorize the chair to sign.
Sure, yes, please.
Okay, I second.
Yeah, I don't have any problem signing it. But we didn't really deal with the payment, and that still is a question in my mind. It's probably a separate question, so let's vote on this. Further discussion on entering into the contract with Axiom and using $5,000 of our American Rescue Plan funds for that purpose. Walter?
Aye.
Jeff? Aye. John? Aye. Walter, I assume you'll convey that to the.
And I will call Mark tomorrow and ask him about, to be more specific about payment.
And Lynn, I apologize. I hope you didn't have anything to add before we voted. We can always change our vote if you have.
I'm good, thank you. Thank
Okay.
you. I'm good.
I assumed if you had something, you would have chimed in.
Yes,
I
exactly.
kind of thought that statement of work was in her professional wheelhouse, so we would have heard already.
Yeah.
Am I right in that?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess my personal feeling, I'd like to have a little bit of a timeline before we just hand over $5,000 to someone we don't even really know.
I think it's going to be a month to 6 weeks total elapsed time.
So I don't know how you guys feel. I mean, I guess the other way I look at it is if this goes south, it's going to go south with Camden and Rockport and Rockland, and and they'll help us fight the battle, so to speak. And we're only putting up 5 as compared to their 15 or 20 or whatever they're putting up. So that gives me some confidence. So if you guys are happy with 5, we can just pay the invoice and don't need to take any action.
Let me call him tomorrow.
Okay, that's something you administratively, you can work out with Terry probably. That's good, Jeff?
Yep.
Okay, you happy with that, Walter?
I'm fine. Thanks.
You can blame me. I'd at least like to know when they're gonna get to it. Okay. Moving on. So we go with the Axiom study, Knox County Clinic. Are we all set on that? Do we need a motion to authorize you to transfer the funds or?
I already approved it, didn't you?
Yeah, pretty sure we did.
Okay, and again, in terms of the bidding and stuff, I'm okay with that for the same reasons I just discussed about the other matter. We do with the improvements, ventilation in the meeting room and perhaps elsewhere. I did talk to John Hanson. He gave me the name of the, well, Ann, before we move on, you had a question about where we go from here. I mean, was that sort of a rhetorical question or
Yeah, I think
because
so.
I don't think we have the answer.
No, I don't know who has any answers to that kind of roadblock. He is in office until the end of next year. I looked it up. And, I don't know how we make peace or try to make that work at all.
My sense is I talked to her quite a bit about several funding.
Yeah.
Not just this, but
Yeah.
I don't think she's gonna move on.
I don't either. I mean, when she starts using phrases like threatened and bullying and under no obligation and you people, I think the conversation is
Yeah.
over.
Having said that, in her defense, very early on, they came on very
Oh, I know
aggressive,
they did.
very aggressive.
No, I get it.
And I remember saying to myself, what makes them think that they're gonna send all 7.5 million of the county's funds to the 2 richest towns in the county?
Yeah, well, and she basically said that.
Yeah.
She said, "Come, guys.
Yeah.
If this is supposed to be helping out people who don't have resources, it's not you.
So,
So,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know.
all right, I just
Thank you
wanted
for
to,
checking.
all right, I did talk to John Hanson. He gave me the name of the guy that did the little ventilation work that we did here. He's gonna check back with me about some possible just sort of standalone wall ventilators that perhaps we can put them in here. He agreed that, see ya, take it, that, you know, only 2 windows on one wall. It's not the best situation. So more to come from him. I don't have any more details other than he was gonna dust off his plans. And like everybody else, I'm busy. But I'll try to take a look at it. Okay? And I also talked about the other things up there. The update on the CEO, LPO, we still have nobody, correct, Terry? I did get a hold of Rob DePlissa. I told him what we were thinking. He said if he was asked, he'd go for it. Given the situation that we're in, he says, good luck. I'm not sure you're gonna find anybody, but you know, it's a shot, and if we do end up going that route, he'll work with us through a transition. Very cooperative. He understood the position we was in. So I told him I just wanted to give him a heads up in case he saw an ad in the Maine Municipal Job Bank and like, whoa, what's, you know, he appreciated that. If you guys are willing, I'll type up an ad for Maine Municipal and get it posted. We need to come up with an amount though. We did not do that last time. Because I think that's what's going to attract somebody. If we can say benefits, health insurance, and a salary, and I, you know, we were, but we never finalized it. Oh, I forgot to talk to you about one thing on ARP funds real quick. But we jump back after the time. Want me to put a range in there?
Yeah, I think that's best.
So what's the range? Now you're gonna come up with 2 numbers. I think we were talking that we needed to be north of 25 an hour.
I was gonna say 25 to 30 or maybe 25 to 35.
It just, I mean, that's what it.
I remember doing the calculation.
Well, yeah, if it's 35 hours a week, what is that? That's 45.5. Not a lot of money these days. I think I'd make it 50. 50, 60. I mean, really, you want to stop that? Huh? Walter?
Sorry, what? I was calculating.
50 to 60, depending on experience.
Oh, 50 to 60,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's.
What do you think, 50?
I thought you were saying 60 an hour.
No. 50,000.
All right. That work for you, Walter? That a little too rich for your blood?
I think, well, it's a little too rich but this is absolutely a seller's market, as we know.
Yeah. Well, just remember, we're not coming down. We can always go up, but we're not going to be able to come down. So
Yeah.
How about we compromise at 45 to 55?
I'm liking that better because I'm just calculating. So we had a CEO a year and a half ago who was highly experienced, and hold on, let me.
I mean, let's face it, we're in that range with the contract now with RJD.
With our, yeah, we are.
For the assessor side of it. Any word from Terry Brackett on how long he's gonna be willing to do this?
Run the annuals by me again.
We were, well, I suggested 45 to 55, depending on experience.
Yeah, I think 45 is the floor. Makes sense.
Okay. So and to be honest with you, I don't think we're gonna get, but maybe with the health insurance thrown in, it's an odd combination, assessing and code office. And although you wouldn't think it would be, but it is, I think. All right, we good? I mean, at this point, we're just doing a job now, we're not taking any action. All right, I want to jump back up to ARP real quick. I sent out those forms to gather information. Everybody good with those, so I can get those out?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So that would be gathering information for premium pay at the 2 stores and the 2 daycares where people actually work through the pandemic, and then potentially some financial assistance to the 2 daycare centers. So we do premium pay. We have to make sure it's less than 150% of the average statewide or county wage, whichever is higher. So we're up in the, when you take Portland in for statewide, we're up in the $38 an hour range. So we're not, I don't believe we're anywhere near bumping up against that for workers at the gig store. So if we are, I'm going down and applying. So. Okay, let's go to department head reports. I don't think we have anything. Do you have anything to add? Okay. Review 2002 state valuation. I'll be honest with you, I had company in this weekend and I didn't even get a chance to take a peek at these. I did take a peek and they didn't look terrible.
I'm sorry, how did you?
Said I did take a peek, but they didn't look terrible to me, but I'd like.
You thought they did?
I didn't.
Okay, because I didn't go real deep, but the spreads between evaluation and some of the sales prices were eye-opening. That's why I asked about what's the ratio that triggers a reval, because
they were, but there was no patent.
Right.
Oh yeah, exactly.
But I'd like personally I'd like to table this and get a chance to actually look at them. I started to put a few on a spreadsheet and I ran out of time. I had family here for 4 days. Is that agreeable?
Yeah.
I move to table.
Okay, second. Walter?
Aye.
Jeff? John, aye. Okay, this is more just information. I assume everybody saw that we got the grant award letter for the tennis courts. Which is great news.
Thank you, John.
And he's going to be 2 or 3 months getting a contract together, which works fine for us because we're not even talking about doing this until next spring. There is a pretty rigid bidding requirement here, although he believes there's only 2 people that will bid on it. On the actual resurfacing, 2 companies, one from Vermont, one from Maine. But he sent me a kind of a template bid specs. I'll try to work on that a little this winter. I also talked to Jimmy Callum about if we bought some crushed stone to the parking area, some good decent fill, so this would stand up, would he deliver them for free? Using his equipment, load it, and he said, absolutely, we'll work something out. I don't know exactly what that meant, but so I felt pretty good about that. And so I guess something we just need to work on over the next few months and hopefully get something done fairly early in the spring. I will say that the pickleball courts out there are getting quite an amount of use. I've noticed, and I've used them myself, and I've seen other people do them. So, and the basketball a little bit. I haven't seen much going on with the tennis, even though we repaired that one crack fairly. It's still, tennis is such high speed that even a little blemish throws the wall off, but. Any?
I was wondering, does this mean that we could go ahead and use the gate?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to mention, I didn't want to get into too much tonight, but I think Jerry came up with a good suggestion. That would not move the gate,
But
just keep this gate tied open. Buy a cheap gate for $200 over at Tractor Supply and put it past the tennis court. And then,
do that this,
yeah, not until we have a contract. But so probably not. And then he said, if you're having trouble and you want to shut these gates down, say after dark or something, you can. And I said, Jerry, that's a really good idea. And it's cheaper. So I was going to mention that as we get further down the road, but that's my thinking at this point.
and I also wonder, the lion fences could go out to the court. Because we are not listing, people inside the town office, I don't think they're getting used and unlocked like they did last.
I don't know. I have no idea how to make it use.
I don't even know what that's tomorrow. They're probably with our ballot box.
No, they're.
Or outside.
Oh, I never noticed mine open. I'm stuck in my office.
Well, I have observed people sitting there as they played the two comments in the town office and the living room. One person at
Right,
a time.
yeah.
And I was wondering, if we put them out there until winter, and then we could take them back
Yeah.
or rebut one.
I'm just wondering if they would get vandalized out there. Although I have to admit, they have not vandalized the pickleball net. They broke into the thing. I think it was more just like what's in there. And once they find out, they didn't vandalize it. So, I have no objection to that. If somebody wants to,
The Lions wouldn't mind.
I would admit, having been out there a few times, it would have been nice to have a place to sit.
Well,
Fine, we just gotta get someone to volunteer to do it.
that's.
Oh, I knew that was coming.
Telling me that one.
I was trying to find someone other than that. Okay. So I think we're good to go on that. We have $100 donation request from Coastal Communication.
Did you want to do Westport?
Oh,
Under new business?
yeah, I did. This is kind of ancient history, but 3 Westbrook Street is located right on the corner of Westbrook Street, and it was owned by L.C. Brown. And several years ago, they had a water problem. So they drilled a well across the street from Westbrook, and they came to the town to get permission to L.C. and her son Wayne to go under the town street with a pipe there, which the town granted. Did charge them a fee because we had to work up legal stuff. It was not something you could do that simply to get under a public right away forever with a water pipe. And at the time, the Browns decided that they didn't want to pay X because they thought it was only worth Y. So we took them to court, took Elsie Brown to court, who was quite elderly at that time. We got a judgment. And the board at the time decided not to take enforcement action against Elsie Brown. There was just no will, if you will, to have Elsie served with papers and maybe taken to the Knox County Jail and so on and so forth. I supported. I now notice that building's for sale. And that judgment is still not paid. It's what, Terry, 700 and.
It was 490 plus 77.
And I feel like, we spent money taking the court, we got a judgment, and I don't know, to be bluntly, like the court, the participants just thumb their noses at the court down. And I'd like to, now that building's for sale, I'd like to see us record a lien against that building to see what happens when and if and when it's on.
I strongly support that.
Walter, you probably don't have that history, so,
But it makes sense to me.
I mean, I just don't feel like someone can decide what they're gonna pay in order to court. I remember being in court and the participant, the defendant, for lack of a better word, said, well, what's the town gonna do next? Charge us for copying paper? And the judge saying, you better count your blessings. So anyway, so I think Carrie can just file a simple lien against the property, and when and if sales is gonna be a blemish on the title, it'll have to get somehow negotiated. So is there a motion to support that?
I so move.
Second,
I'll second.
further discussion? All those in favor? Walter?
Aye.
Jeff? Aye. John? Aye. Okay. So correspondence, we got $100 donation request from Coastal Communications.
Cool.
I'm not even sure what Coastal Communications is.
It's Coastal Opportunities.
Oh,
I wrote it wrong.
it says Coastal Communications, and I'm thinking, but it is Coastal.
This one says,
I don't know.
I got two issues. I don't know, I haven't been on the board for a while. I don't know if you guys have in the past been getting these during the regular part of the season other than at budget time. But I don't remember us ever getting them or entertaining them.
We've got, over my tenure, we've gotten a lot of them at random periods of time. Certainly the Wrights Gaudio Waterman Board typically said, we don't feel good, we don't feel right spending the taxpayers' money on stuff like this, because as worthy as the cause may be, we didn't feel that we had the authority. What's kind of interesting is where the Knox County Clinic donation was concerned, we as a board had the authority to do that. So that, just in case anybody wants to draw the parallel, they're different circumstances. So we rejected every one of those requests because we felt that it wasn't appropriate for any of us to favor one not-for-profit over another with the taxpayers' money.
Yeah, that, I mean, going back several years, it used to be warrant article on during the town meeting, and the town would vote on various nonprofits, and we did away with that for the exact same reason. Because there was always a discussion over it.
Long one.
A long one. And the reality is, they're donations. We shouldn't be collecting taxpayer money for donations. And I agree with you. ARP money for things related to COVID is a different kettle of fish. And this doesn't mention COVID one time. So I would make a motion that we table this forever. Or I don't know, what have you guys done in the past? Just have you responded?
We would write a letter to clients saying, sorry. There should be some of those in the files.
Yeah.
I hope.
I agree with Jeff. I think we, at town meeting, we had a big discussion about this. I think it actually even went a little beyond that. We were starting to get requests from agencies that certain people objected to their mission.
Right.
Or part of their mission.
Right.
And we decided, geez, we represent everybody here. If people want to donate to Planned Parenthood or to this group or that group, that's them personally, and the town shouldn't be taxing people to do that. We did leave the door open that if someone wants to petition town meeting, we can't deny them that, but they're going to get 10 signatures or whatever it is from 10 town residents or what number it is. So I think that policy has served us well. We should stick with it. And I also draw the distinction between this and ARP. If this letter had come in and said, we deal with 6 of your residents, and, we tried to coach them and help them with medical issues through the pandemic, and I'd have maybe a different take on it, right? I think it's just a typical solicitation, and we've stayed away from those for, God, it must be 15, 20 years now, and I don't see any reason to change it. So, agreed.
So then my motion would be that we deny it, send them a letter stating those reasons.
Second, Walter?
Oh, second, sorry, I didn't know, I didn't hear.
Further discussion? All those in favor? And it is postal opportunities. When I first started, postal communications there. Okay,
It's interesting, the letter is addressed to residents of South Thomas.
Corps of Engineering, good point. Corps of Engineering permit, I'm sorry, Walter?
Well, that's interesting, because now I'm wondering if we could post that, and then any resident that encountered the letter could make their own mind up.
I'm reluctant to go down that road.
Okay. Yeah, because that's a classic, no good deed goes unpunished.
And
The
all
minute we-
secretaries.
The minute we posted that, we'd be accused of supporting their mission regardless.
Right, I mean, if the American Federation of Nazis come in or something, I mean, I hate to be that way, but
So do I, but reality is reality.
okay, the Corps of Engineers permit, I think for the Island Road project, we got it, we're all set. Andrew said there was no issues with that, I guess. We did get easement plans, and I was a little confused. I don't know if you saw the email, because originally we thought there was going to be 3 temporary construction
And
easements on permanent. Now there's only 4 temporary, which simplifies this a lot. And so Kristen is evidently going to pursue those. And if people don't want to give us the temporary easements, that's fine. They're just going to have a little incline to get up onto the road. So that's good news, I think.
And the other thing I'd say is that somebody was requesting what plans were that we submitted for the permits, and this has the plans attached to it. So
Yeah, that was John Conkle. I think you already got those to him.
Terry straightened that out with him already.
The other thing I asked was to add Er's email of 10-4. I regarding, I didn't understand his email, but I get the sense that he as chair does not really want to enthusiastically pursue mending their bylaws. I could be wrong about this, but I'm reading that into the emails, and I to require notification and to sort out when a public hearing is or isn't required, and I hate to drop that. And I guess if the planning board doesn't want to pursue that, and again, I had a little trouble following his email, I'd like to see us refer it to the ORC and have it done through the planning board ordinance. I think it's important that we do it. And I don't like the idea of they can pick and choose. Right. I think that's the worst.
right.
But, oh, sorry.
I think there was some miscommunication, that's something that, I think the planning board, it's an important issue that we want to discuss. The question is the timing got messed up because of, not wanting to be on Zoom and things like that. And I myself wrote to Herb about, missing the last meeting, and it's not lack of interest in the question, it's just a public behavior.
Well, that's what I thought too, but that's not the message I'm getting in his email.
Well, I remember that, in the email.
Yeah. I mean, his last one was, and I'm not sure I can lay my hands on it, but was very, I'm not even gonna look for it, but, my impression was and maybe I'm misreading it, Walter, Jeff, but my impression was like, this is, you know, if we're gonna do this, someone's gonna do that, and I felt saying, well, so, then do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not sure we have any meetings this month, you know, so far there have been no movement.
Yeah.
From it request, so, you know, that could be a great opportunity, meeting, since the meeting is scheduled anyway.
Yeah.
And get the permits with that, that's a way to discuss the issue.
And the other thing is this seems to keep coming back to a project over on 131, and in my mind, I mean, that was another example, but this is something in my mind that goes back 20 years, and, you know, and I can't seem to get that across.
Yeah.
So, well, having said that, I guess I won't push for it to go to the ORC yet.
Yes, I will communicate with the members of the board, and make sure you know, offer that we meet this month no matter what, and, you know, publish next public early now, that people will come back.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll personally, I'm willing to leave it in Catherine's hands to communicate back, but it sounds like the three of us do want to see this move forward. I don't want to speak for you, Walter, but
Well, first of all, I think the pick and choose is absolutely the worst thing to do. And I think I've said before, I was annoyed when my neighbor built a commercial building next to me and I didn't know about it. It's perfectly fine, but you know, the CEO at the time, when I called him to complain, said, "We never tell anybody what we're doing." And I said, "Well, that's not so cool."
yeah. And again, I don't want this to become onerous. I don't want it to become when anybody's building a, you know, replacing a set of steps or building a, you know, a small shed from, but I mean, when it's going to be a substantial commercial project, I just think that I think there should be some notice, you know, and I'm not wedded to exactly what that looks like by any means, but it should be standardized. And so, okay, I'll get off my soapbox. We got warrant approvals, review items for next agenda. So we're coming back to the repairs on the Little Red Schoolhouse. I think we'll keep updated the temporary library on there until that happens. The lease. So I think we still want to try to get another appointment to the committee. I think we probably should keep Midcoast Internet Development Corporation on there too as just a standard update item.
Yeah, and there's a coalition meeting tomorrow, so we'll do a readout at the next meeting.
And the ARP is going to be an ongoing issue. Skateboard, we know we got to do some work there. We'll keep the CEO LPI on there, although we may not be ready. We're going to talk about the valuations. I think we can drop tennis courts for now. Okay, anybody else have anything they want on the next agenda?
I have a question about of the financials.
Yeah, I have scheduled future meetings, and under that, I have planned that 9-month budget review that you wanted to undertake, and I asked Terry to kind of maybe come up with some proposed dates. Are you actually talking about getting together with the budget committee, or?
Yeah, that's what we did the last 2 years. It was just a, you know, here's where we're at. And it was just us wanting to reach out and involve them. They were pretty perfunctory meetings, but
They are of value.
you know, and now, you know, there's a lot less institutional knowledge in the budget committee than there has been for a long time. So I think the more they see the numbers, the better off they're going to be.
Okay, so why don't we, you're talking about something outside of a regular meeting, I assume.
Well, that's what we have done the last 2 years.
Yeah. So let me just find out where we're at here. So.
Meanwhile, I have a question for Terry about the revenue report that you put in the package.
Okay.
So, and I went back, I just want to make sure that I read what I thought I read. That the 18-month budget forecast for ambulance billing was $77,800.
Correct.
And we've already collected 74,351
Correct.
halfway through the year. Okie dokie.
I'll double check, but.
Well, yeah, it's just when something looks that good, I want to make sure that it, that it's that good. And the first thing I did was verify the 77,800 number. So
Okay, so Terry has an election coming up on the 2nd. We have meetings. We have another meeting scheduled for October 26th, correct?
Correct.
And then November, we have the 30th and the 16th, correct?
yep.
16th and the 30th. How about something the week of the 9th? I mean, excuse me, the week of the week of the 7th.
Of November.
Yeah, like maybe the 9th.
I'm having surgery on the 8th, and I'm going to be out of action for most of that week.
Well, Terry, it really kind of rests on you. How much time do you need to get ready?
This is the end of September, yeah. I mean, I have the expenses report and the revenue
Okay.
report.
How about the 28th?
28th of October.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you can post one agenda for the 26th and, excuse me, two agendas, one posting for the 26th and the 28th. Do we want October? Terry said she's ready, so.
Well, I mean, I don't know what he really wants. I have a revenue report, and I have an expense report that goes through January to the end of September. I could send it out and they could send me questions that I would be prepared to answer instead of
That's a good
That's a good
idea.
idea.
That's a good idea.
someone saying something, and I'm sorry, but usually by this time of night, I don't really get.
Yeah.
So-
Well, none of that, you can't get up and go check, you know, so. That would be,
I have two other conflicts that night, so
okay. All right, why don't you suggest tonight, Walter?
punishment for my bright idea, huh? So I'm sorry, we're the 12th
We are right now.
and the 26th. I mean, this can be a Zoom meeting. How about is the 27th out?
I don't think I can be there, but I don't need to be.
I can be there.
Go for the 27th. I might be able to be there. But if I can't, that's fine.
Okay.
So budget meeting the 27th at 6.
Assuming we can get a decent quorum from the budget committee, I would assume.
Right.
You want to pick a second night just in case that doesn't work, or is that just complicated? My experience is it complicates.
November 3rd,
Yeah, that's election.
night after the election.
I would really be doing it that way.
Yeah. They'll be here late counting. There aren't a lot of questions, but still. You gotta go
Nobody
through,
still is-
you gotta go through the motion, whether there's a question in 20, right? Well, why don't we shoot for that night and see what happens? Okay.
What do you think, Terry? November 3rd,
What was that
bad
one?
for you?
Yeah, that's no good. That's the day after the election. Can you hear it? We're losing you. Can you hear us, Walter? No. Okay, for a motion to adjourn,
I move we adjourn.
is there a second? Second? Further, Walter, can you hear us?
No.
All right. All those in favor of adjourning, John, I, Jeff,
Aye.
Walter abstain,
And he's gone.
and he's gone.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, we
No.
just adjourned. We thought we'd lost you. We did again.
Pretty hard to say that he's served broadband.
Yeah.